When I first bought my CFMoto 700CL-X a couple of months ago, all I could go on and on about was how pleasantly surprised I was that it doesn't suck. Now obviously just not sucking shouldn't be the gold standard of any purchase, let alone a motorcycle, but let's be honest, when I bought this I wasn't really sure what to think because the reviews have been pretty mixed ever since they came out. You get anywhere from people saying that this is the best bang for your buck at this price, the features are just unmatched, and on the opposite end of the spectrum you have people saying that this is just another Chinese bike manufacturer trying to make it big that is going to fail. And honestly, after putting about 600 miles on this thing now, I can kind of see both sides of the argument. So what's the verdict? Has this thing upgraded from not sucking all the way up to being as awesome as I hoped it would be, or do I regret buying it just like some of you guys said I would? Today we're going to go over the top 3 things that I love about this bike so far, and the top 3 things that I hate the most about this bike, and then I'll be brutally honest with you guys about whether or not I regret buying it. Welcome back to Life of Birch. I am Birch. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe or else you will be cursed with 7 years of always missing some sort of tool that you need for the job that you go to do on your bike. I don't make the rules, I just enforce them. Click the subscribe button. Let's go, baby. Alright, so we're starting out with the 3 things that I love the most about this bike in the past couple of months and about 600 miles of ownership. And it's also worth mentioning that I'm going to talk about my girlfriend's feelings about the bike so far, also because she's a slacker and hasn't put out her video yet, but she has put a couple hundred of those 600 miles on this thing. Should we open it up? Ooh, yeah. But anyway, yeah, so out of that 600 miles that we've put on it so far, I want to say that we've each probably done about 300 of the miles. I don't think either of us has done really more than the other has. We both had a kind of like a split parenting with it. So this is kind of going off of my thoughts and what I've talked to her about. So the top thing that I love about this bike has got to be all of the features and tech that come with this bike and kind of how versatile it makes it. If you watched my first video when I first got this bike, you know that I talked about just how many features this bike has. It's almost hard to keep up with all of them, but I mean, this bike comes from the factory with cruise control, ABS, 2 different rider modes. Oh, I love that little hill straight into these turns. Steel braided brake lines. What else? USB charger under the seat. I mean, this thing just has so many features, it's insane. Down by the shift pedal, it even has a little thing that tells you what order the gears go in, you know, first, neutral, second, third, etc., etc. So that's really cool for a bike that's kind of like targeted semi towards newer riders. If you're in the parking lot practicing and you're having this like oh crap moment of forgetting, it's right there. And the fact that it also comes with like semi knobby tires, I won't say knobby tires, but almost like dual sport-ish tires is awesome because obviously they can handle throwing it around back roads like this. But then earlier today I was doing some gravel road riding. I would say the more aggressive gravel stuff that I've done on this thing so far, and it handled it like a champ. The front and rear suspension are adjustable for preload, compression, and rebound. As sporty as it feels and looks, we also have the brackets for the saddlebags, so you can put saddlebags on this thing and do a road trip, throw it in cruise control. There's nothing better than kind of no, one-trick pony is the opposite of what I'm thinking. You get it, like a do-it-all bike, you know? If you only have the budget for one bike, you should get something that does it all. Has all the tech, can do twisties, can do long trips, can do gravel roads. It's like a jack of all trades, maybe? Is that the word I'm looking for? It's not, but you get it. And then the second thing that I love the most about this bike has got to be the styling. And I know that that is more subjective than objective. I might really like the way that it looks, and you might think that it's super ugly, but I mean, let's be honest, it looks like somebody ordered an FTR, an Indian FTR, off of Amazon or Temu. And I mean that in the best way possible, because if you've seen the channel before, you know that I absolutely love Indian FTRs. So the fact that I have my little Temu FTR is great. Here, let me pull off right up here so I can give you guys a better glimpse at the styling in case you haven't seen the bike too well before. I know at the beginning of the video I just kind of hopped straight on it. Okay, I don't know if this is really the best place to be doing this, but it feels like it is. Alright, I mean, come on people, just look at it. Look at how good this thing looks. It genuinely looks like a little cheap FTR. Not cheap, you get it. I love how the headlight, I didn't even notice at first until like a week into owning it, that it has the LED headlight in the middle, but then that little like X surround around it also lights up. How sick is that? In the light you can't really tell, but as soon as it gets in the shade, you can tell it's like a daytime running light around it. Has the short front fender, the knobby tires, knobby-ish tires anyway. Probably be hard to see, but right there is what I'm talking about. It has like a cutout of the gears. It has that sick like two-tone color to it between like the silver and the blue. The seat looks cool. The seat locks you in. Those are the saddlebag brackets that I was talking about that you barely even notice unless you know you're looking for them. I know it's subjective, but I think the styling of this just is awesome, honestly. Maybe that's the part of me that's too poor for an actual FTR though, right? Okay, now for the third thing that we love the most about this bike. What is it? What was I gonna say? Oh, right, the price, dude. You cannot beat the price. This thing starts out at only $6,800 for this, or you can spend a little bit extra and get the sport model that has dual Brembos in the front, clip-on handlebars instead of handlebars like this, way more sporty. And between all of the features and the styling that you get out of it, dude, like $6,800, the other bikes that are in this range, you're gonna be spending thousands of dollars more. And lots of them still don't even have the same features that this does after spending that much more. I said it in my first video, but I feel like the power delivery and feel of this is like really reminiscent of the CB650R and the CBR650R, and those things I want to say are like, I don't know, like $9,500 or something like that, somewhere around there. So this thing is like $3,000 cheaper, and you get the same performance and honestly I think kind of better styling. I mean, look at how much this thing shreds, dude. I took that turn like shit. I rest my case. I really do forget how like smooth this bike is, man. Like, I don't want to say it's surprising, but it really is kind of surprising how smooth it is, and it handles so well. Oh my gosh. This is why I can't have bikes like this though, because as much fun as it is to rip roads like this on like the Rebel 1100 or whatever, having a bike like this, like a naked 700, dude, it's just it calls to me too much to shred harder than I should. Okay, so there is the top 3 things that I love the most about this bike. The features, tech, and versatility, the styling of it, and of course the price that you pay, or the price that you don't pay to get all of that. Oh yeah, ADD, speaking of price, you know, I talked about the 6,800 brand new, but that's not talking about the fact that I got this thing used for $2,500, and they're pretty easy to find for like $4,500 or less used. Talk about a good deal for what you get. What do we got here? An old Chevy. Oh, he's getting on it a little bit. Are we about to go, brother? Okay, now that's all fine and dandy that I love all of that stuff about the bike, but let's talk about why you guys are here. You want to know, do I regret my purchase? What are the things that I hate the most about it? And the number 1 spot was super easy to come up with. It might sound a little confusing at first, but stick with me. The number 1 spot is also all of the features and tech that this bike has, but because of all just the weird, oh, you're getting on it, huh? I wasn't expecting that. Homie just let her eat. Anyway, as I was saying, the reason that I also hate the same exact tech and features that I love about this thing is because lots of it just leads to a bunch of quirky, weird issues that we've noticed with this, and some of them have led to Nina kind of not really having trust in it anymore, and have led to her not really riding it anymore. He just didn't even look at me. He was just doing that for himself. Okay. So what I mean by that is, you guys know, I've already talked about it in the first video. It's super weird. It has this issue with cruise control where if you're in 6th gear and it only does it in 6th gear, especially if you're doing over like 70 miles per hour, it'll just randomly like start thinking that it's in 1st gear. So if you're cruising on the highway, 1 second you'll look down and you're doing 70 in 1st gear. The next second you look down, you're doing 70 in 6th gear. And normally that wouldn't be too annoying because it's like, okay, yeah, it looks stupid, but I know what gear I'm in. But the issue is that the cruise control only works in like gears 3 and up or something like that. So if you're on the highway in 6th gear in cruise control doing a long trip, giving your wrist a break, if the bike randomly decides to think that it's in 1st gear, you lose your cruise control. So at that point it's like, okay, cool, it has cruise control, but am I ever actually going to use it if it's not reliable? And then I don't know if it has to do with the gear indicator or what the issue is, but when I first got this bike, like literally was about to ride it home, I went to start it up to warm it up while I went and got my helmet and my gear and everything like that, and the bike was on the kickstand, it was in neutral, and I started the bike and it like actually started going, like it jumped forward off of the kickstand and I had to catch it like inches before it hit the ground. And I haven't been able to replicate that issue ever since, but it's super weird because I don't think it's a kickstand switch or whatever it's considered, because it won't start in 1st gear with the kickstand down just like it should. And I haven't found a time other than that where it has said that it's in neutral but it's been secretly in 1st gear, you know? Like that's all I can think is like maybe the neutral light was on and the bike thought that it was in neutral but it was actually in gear. I don't know, I haven't been able to replicate it, but I mean like literally, oh, this turn. So now I'm like extra cautious about every time I go to start the bike when it's on the kickstand. Even if it says it's in neutral, I have to roll it forwards and backwards and make sure that make sure that it doesn't catch so that I know for sure it's in neutral. Because your boy just about threw his back out catching that thing unexpectedly. And I mean, it is actually pretty freaking difficult to find neutral on this thing. All of my Hondas just like, just find themselves in neutral. This thing, most of the time, it's a struggle to find neutral. So I don't know if that's what it was. It was floating between neutral and 1st, but thought it was in neutral. I don't know. And then speaking of the kickstand, that's another really weird thing. Nina has actually dropped this bike, and we couldn't figure out exactly why, because she's moved around multiple of our bikes several times before and never had an issue. But then one day she was going to take this out, and she calls me and she's like, hey, I'm at the storage unit. I just dropped the CFMoto. I don't know how it happened, but I need help picking it up. And long story short, this kickstand, for some reason, it like doesn't go far enough forward, or the bike doesn't lean over far enough or something. And when the kickstand is at, oh, I just found neutral 1st try, so that kind of ruins what I was saying. Let me find flat ground and see if I can show you right here. When the kickstand is down, it's all the way forward, and you put the kickstand down, the bike can still roll forward enough that the kickstand pops up. Did you see that? And I know that that's like a feature that bikes are supposed to have, to where like if you accidentally somehow take off with the kickstand down, if it catches, it'll go back. But I mean, like pretty much any other bike that I've ridden, if the bike is on its kickstand, the kickstand is at least slightly angled forward to where, like, you know, my Rebel, when it's on the kickstand, I can stand on that freaking thing and like jump around and nothing happens. It won't roll forward off of the kickstand. But with this, like, even if it's in gear, I don't know how to describe this, but you know how like when it's in gear, it still has a little bit of play back and forth? Just that amount of play is like almost enough for it to roll off of the kickstand. Is this a place that I could stop? Yes, it is. What is this place? I've never seen this before. Baker X Derek has mattress of the day, and we have couch of the day, and burn pile of the day, and chair of the day. What the hell did I find? Okay, so let me show you. Okay, so it's in 1st gear, and we're not going to touch the clutch, so you know how now it can like still rock that much before it catches? If it's all the way back and on the kickstand, it's in gear, if it rocks forward, you see how the kickstand like still has enough flex that it can like almost roll off of it? Like I can almost bet, yeah, look, I'm not touching the clutch and it has enough that it can roll forward and fall over. And I know that this is gravel, so some of you guys are gonna be like, no, you're supposed to do that. But I'm telling you, like, the kickstand is very unstable. So yeah, I don't know, just lots of weird quirky stuff with this, like the throttle at mostly in 1st and 2nd gear, sometimes 3rd, but always at lower RPMs. The throttle's super snatchy, but like not when you open close throttle. It's like you could be holding it steady and you can feel it like like kind of like lurching forward even though the throttle's steady. And apparently there's some sort of ECU thing that'll fix that, but it just sucks that you got to deal with that in the first place. And then also if you accelerate decently, like you really get on it, when you shift, there's like a delay before it goes up into the next gear. It's very strange. There was that little bit of lag that I was talking about. So yeah, that's what I mean by the fact that my most loved and most hated thing about this bike are kind of the same thing, being the features and the tech. It's really cool that they packed so many features and so much tech into this, but I almost would have like gladly taken half the features that were like actually refined versus having way more features that are not as refined. And come to think of it, I guess the same can kind of be said about the styling aspect of it. Like, I love the way that it looks, but you can definitely tell they kind of cut some corners on it between like how scratched up and like weird, I don't know, you get this like weird stuff on the silver parts and like the emblems kind of falling off there. Oh, I actually just popped that off. That might fall off. Anyway, I gotta focus on this. But yeah, it's almost like, yeah, the styling is good. Get on your side of the road. It's like, yeah, the styling is good, but if you guys had worked on the fit and finish of it, I probably would have accepted a bike that didn't quite look as cool, but had better fit and finish, you know? Ooh, that wasn't smooth. I gotta be smooth on off. Ooh, let's go. Okay, and the second thing that I hate the most about this bike is the absolute lack of aftermarket support. And not even aftermarket support, but honestly like OEM factory support. You guys know that I'm a believer that one of the best parts about a motorcycle is modifying it and making it your own. And it's really just not super possible to do. Holy shit, what the f are we doing here? What the f was that? No warning, just in the middle of the road, even though there was a shoulder. See, people, this is why you don't ride like an idiot on the streets, because you never know what the f is around that next turn. Am I... Okay, anyway, there's really just not that much support for these things, and don't get me wrong, I get that it's like a newer bike, but even with that said, it's just so hard, I guess because it's a Chinese bike, what's up brother, to find anything. Like, if you guys have seen my past videos about this, it was a saga getting these levers, because it's like every time that you need anything for it, it's like you're having to go through some eBay, Amazon, AliExpress, and I've had great success with those in the past, but not with this bike, dude. It took me 3 different tries to get levers that worked. People are just sending me whatever, saying that it works for it, then send it, oh, that wasn't supposed to work, here's the right adapter, but that adapter works even worse. And when you go on the forums, everybody has the same story. Has anybody found anything that works for these? Nope, I haven't. Have you? And I mean, like, even the exhaust, I don't know if you guys noticed, this thing has a different exhaust on it. It's not the factory exhaust, and you probably didn't notice because it doesn't sound any different. And it just, I don't know, dude. The only exhaust options are like cheap ass $100 something exhausts, or $500 or $600 exhausts that don't even have any reviews, so why would I buy it? So I got one of the cheap ones, and it again, same deal, where the seller is like, oh, I know that I said that it works for this and it works for that, but it doesn't. And then you get it and you go to install it and it fits like shit, and it doesn't sound any different. And I don't know, it should tell you something if I put an exhaust on it and decided that it made such a little difference that I wasn't even going to make a video out of it, because it'll just waste your guys' time. And like I said, it's not only aftermarket support and total lack of modifications, but it's also like OEM factory support. You know, like there's no dedicated CFMoto dealer. Plenty of dealerships sell them, but it's like, how many CFMotos have they sold versus Honda, Kawasaki, Yamaha? So it's like parts aren't kept in stock. For most of the Rebels and stuff like that, it's like everything is cross-compatible with other Honda models. So if I need something, I can hit up the dealer and get it like pretty much right away. But when I needed, again, a lever to go on this because the other one was broken and I just needed it to pass inspection, I'm like, oh, I'll hit up the dealer and just get a lever from them. And they're like, yeah, it'll take 10 to 14 days. I'm like, 10 to 14 days for a stock lever. I'll just take my chances with the Chinese stuff. So yeah, again, that might change the longer that this brand is kind of out there and the longer that like legit dealerships are selling them. But right now there's really just no support for them as far as aftermarket, mods, OEM, anything. And then the third and final thing that I hate about the CFMoto 700CL-X has got to be the lack of credibility that the bike and the entire brand have as of now. And by credibility, I mean both, you know, street cred and also like reliability credibility. Most other motorcycle manufacturers have been around for so long that they already kind of have a track record and people already know what to expect. So like, you know, if somebody tells you they have a Ducati, you immediately know like, okay, we get it, you have money, and there's a good chance that you don't know how to ride because you just wanted to get the latest and greatest and coolest and whatever, or you really can frickin' ride and that's why you did it. You get a Honda and you immediately know, okay, this person wants reliability and smoothness. Whereas you tell somebody that you have a CFMoto and it's kind of like, oh yeah, that Chinese bike, the $2,000 things, because CFMoto hasn't really made a name for themselves yet. And on the same token, because they haven't been around for as long, you don't really know what to expect reliability wise. For the most part, out of all the other brands, you know what you're getting and how reliable it's going to be. But with this, it's kind of like, I don't know, I'm going to assume that it's not going to be super duper reliable because it's a newer brand, but who knows for sure. And they're also partnered with KTM, so it's like, okay, KTM's been around for a while, but they're also not really known to be the most reliable. So yeah, the street cred isn't there, the reliability, kind of like proven track record isn't there yet. And those are both things where like the extra money that the other brands cost might be worth it just for that. And like, not to sound bad, but like you get taken a little bit more seriously when you say that you're on a Yamaha or a Honda than you do when you're like, oh, I have the new CFMoto, you know? So there you have it, the top 3 things that I hate the most about this bike. All of the weird quirks and almost like crappy build quality, the absolute lack of support from both aftermarket and OEM, and the lack of credibility and proven reliability. But the question is, do those hates outweigh the loves? Do I regret buying this bike? And I gotta say, I don't, but I also got it for only $2,500, which is a steal of a deal. For what this bike is, how much fun it is, all the cool features, and just like how it feels when you're riding it, you just cannot beat it for $2,500. But at $6,800 brand new, even though that is a lot cheaper than the other bikes that are in this category, I think I would probably have to do some soul searching before making my purchase. Personally, I think that there are better bikes subjectively in this price range brand new. They might not be direct competitors of this, you know, like obviously the CBR 650R, the FZ07, the Z650, all of those are like, I would consider direct competitors with this and are priced decently higher than them. But for all of the trade-offs and everything, I'm not sure that I would go this route. I think I would just go with one of the big names. And especially when you consider like, yeah, it's not a direct competitor, but $6,800 is exactly what I spent on my SCL 500 brand new. So it's like, yeah, you're not getting all of that power and you're not getting all the fancy stuff, but I pick my SCL 500 over this bike all day and it costs the same exact price brand new. So I guess what I'm saying is, I don't know, take all of the reviews to heart and make your own decision. I think for, I don't know, if you could find a deal on one of these for anything $4,500 or less, it is an absolute steal. These things are so much freaking fun for what they are. But if you're considering buying one brand new, maybe do some soul searching and decide if all of the features and all that are worth. Damn, son, the battery just died as I was talking. I don't remember what I was saying, but you get the gist of it. You've heard my opinions. Go watch some other reviews and get other people's opinions and then use those to form your own. There is no right decision. There's only informed decisions. So make an informed decision, and if your heart leads you to this, you're going to be happy either way. Shout out to the Patreon members for making all of this possible. I could not be doing this without you. If you want to sign up for Patreon as well, check the link in the description. And if you've made it this far, make sure to check out this playlist right here of all my other review videos for other bikes. I will catch you all in the next one. Love you guys. Peace.